Chapter 1177, Substitute. On the desolate moors filled with deep ravines, Ammon stood in different spots. They opened their mouths and chanted in Jotun, the blessed of the spirit world and Sephra castle. The mystery stemming from ancient times. The witness of an extended history. Protector of backland magic and drama performers. The great Jayaman Sparrow. These voices were layered as they bored into the void, as though they extended to an infinite distance. 10 seconds later, all of them adjusted their crystal monocles in different manners and chuckled softly. He changed it really quickly. If Jayaman Sparrow was still automatically responding to this honorific name, they could then use this opportunity to determine the other party's location and create an error to appear directly beside their target. In the darkness that was illuminated by lightning from time to time, the hatted and coated Klein proceeded north at a moderate pace while holding a lantern. There's a prayer. Ammon is using Jayaman Sparrow's honorific name. This means that a number of Ammons aren't too far from me, but the City of Silver doesn't have his parasites. They're in the surrounding patrol teams or in some unexpected creatures. As he walked, Klein suddenly turned his head and listened carefully for a few seconds. Regarding this matter, he was rather glad that he was cautious enough. He had changed the honorific name that allowed default acknowledgement while above the gray fog. It went from the protector of backland magic and drama performers to protector of all poor children in Backland. This came from the lone charity bursary foundation he had set up. Yes, Ammon is a cryptologist. It's very likely that he can interpret this honorific name from all the information regarding Dwayne Dance. No, I don't even need an automatic response. As Klein looked at the faint yellow light emitted by the lantern, he quickly made a decision. He made every worm of spirit only capable of listening to prayers, without having the ability to autonomously respond unless they had been given permission from the main body. This way, frequent prayers would severely affect his daily life, but it wasn't a big problem. This was because, other than Ammon's vile harassment, no one else would pray to Jayaman Sparrow since he hadn't spread the word about his honorific name. After settling this matter, Klein thought of all of Ammon's terrifying aspects. He suddenly had some doubts about what to do next. His original plan was to stay far away from the City of Silver and head to the Noise Ruins in the north to investigate the situation there. He wanted to see if he could obtain the main ingredients needed for the Miracle Invoker potion. However, after connecting that ancient city ruins with Ammon, a problem was revealed. Klein could already confirm that the upper levels of neighboring pathways also followed the law of beyonder characteristic convergence. Since Ammon had been wandering around the forsaken land of the gods for more than 1,000 years and had come near the City of Silver, how could he not be attracted to the Noise Ruins in the north? For the chief of the City of Silver to not dare to enter, it means the power in Noise City has definitely reached the level of an angel. Ammon wouldn't ignore it. He probably doesn't dare to directly eat such a high-level beyonder characteristic of a neighboring pathway, but that doesn't prevent him from setting up a trap. Even if he hadn't done so in the past, he would definitely be rushing over there now. Of course, I can't exclude the possibility that Ammon has yet to discover it because, during the City of Silver Chief's first visit, the Noise Ruins weren't as dangerous. Perhaps that power at the angel level came to the Noise Ruins later. He has been constantly migrating his believers to avoid Ammon. Amidst his thoughts, Klein felt a little afraid about heading northwest for the ancient city. He decided to first see if there were any other ways to obtain the main ingredient of the Miracle Invoker potion, before considering if he should head to the periphery of the Noise Ruins to observe and gather some intel. With this in mind, he walked towards the wreckage of a tall tower in his black coat and half-top hat, guided by the occasional lightning. Along the way, in the dangerous darkness outside the dim yellow light, monsters lined up and silently followed him. They were already his marionettes. Compared to them, the Saints of the Seer pathway were even more bizarre and terrifying. As they walked, one of the monsters that looked like a fish with limbs suddenly chanted in Jotun, "The sun that is eternal. You are an inextinguishable light. You are the embodiment of order." The moment it finished reciting the three-lined honorific name, the monster collapsed to the ground and lost its life. The honorific name of deities often wasn't limited to 3 lines, but when chanting, one could choose any 3. For example, the Eternal Blazing Sun's complete honorific name was Eternal Blazing Sun, Inextinguishable Light, Embodiment of Order, God of Contracts, Guardian of Businesses. And just now, Klein had used the first 3. With this method, he prayed to the Lord of Storms, the God of Knowledge and Wisdom, and the Evernight Goddess, hoping to receive a certain response. However, there was no change in his surroundings 15 minutes later. It's useless to pray to a sequence 0 true deity in the forsaken land of the gods, unless the target is the true creator or is an existence that wields things like Sephra Castle or the Chaos Sea. That's not right. In Afternoon Town, that clergyman had the goddess's true name concealed when saying it. When he mentioned the 4th king of angels, he suffered immolation due to the involvement of deities. Perhaps it's because there's still all kinds of divine power in the forsaken land of the gods, not only concealment and degeneration. And the true names of the different deities each have special meaning in mysticism, allowing it to stir the corresponding powers. This way, it would explain why the City of Silver has been teaching the 2 true names of Badhale and Harabergen, but they didn't end up establishing any connection with the god of combat or the god of knowledge and wisdom. The prayers in the forsaken land of the gods are not heard by the true deities, or even if they can hear them, they are unable to respond. This also means that there are no remnant powers of the god of combat or the god of knowledge. Otherwise, there would have been certain anomalies. Yes, it's also possible that it's not because there are no anomalies, but that the 2 grade 0 sealed artifacts, god-level sealed artifacts, in the City of Silver have eliminated them. In that case, if I were to directly chant the true name of the goddess, would I cause the surrounding darkness and concealment to stir? If this kind of power can be controlled, I'll have an additional effective trump card when being tracked by Ammon. The probability isn't very high. Directly chanting the true name of a deity is an act of blasphemy, and it will result in the corresponding backlash, just like Afternoon Town's clergyman. Based on his logic and the phenomenon he had seen, Klein came up with a theory on the present situation. He was eager to try reading out all the true names of the deities he knew, one by one, and checking their effects. Finally, he restrained himself and didn't blindly make the attempts. I'd better go above the gray fog to do a divination first. Otherwise, who knows if there will be an unbearable accident? Divination involving deities might not give a clear revelation. After muttering inwardly for a while, Klein scoffed at his impulsiveness. My previous plan was akin to, I haven't been courting death for 2 days. I shall do it seriously today. At that moment, he had already arrived at a collapsed tower. He sat beside a wall that had only been cut down by half. He reached out to take out a paper crane from the historical void, and he ignited it. He wanted to see if he could contact the Snake of Fate, Will Ossipton series, if there was a medium. He wanted to know where he could obtain the main ingredients of the Miracle Invoker potion. Under the illumination of his 3rd summoning of the lantern, Klein fell into a deep sleep, but he didn't dream of anything. Indeed, it doesn't work. After he woke up, Klein shook his head and let his body enter a historical void. Following that, he took 4 steps counterclockwise and arrived above the gray fog. Sitting at the seat belonging to the fool, he beckoned for a small paper box from the junk pile. Inside was a stack of paper cranes. These were personally folded by a certain baby. At the same time, the world Jayaman Sparrow was conjured. He prayed to Mr. Fool in a grayish-white region and requested him to forward his request to Miss Justice, saying that this act could allow her to make contributions to her exchange for the manipulator potion formula. Of course, Klein had already revealed that the potion needed to be consumed, while amidst a huge emotional resonance. Backland, Empressborough, inside the Hall family's luxurious mansion. Audrey returned to her bedroom once again and set up a bestowment ritual to obtain the paper crane. She picked up a thin pencil and wrote on the paper crane's surface, "Dwayne Dance has requested you to meet with me." After finishing her preparations, Audrey followed Mr. World's instructions and placed the paper crane under her pillow before lying down to sleep. Soon, she saw a pitch-black desolate plain. As a dreamwalker who had given herself hints in advance, she maintained her consciousness and walked towards the black steeple in the middle of the plains with strong curiosity. As soon as she arrived at her destination, Audrey's spiritual perception was triggered. She raised her head and looked at the top of the steeple. At some point in time, there was a giant silver snake coiled there. This gigantic snake didn't have any scales. Its body was covered with symbols and patterns that formed wheels that were connected to each other with different labels. At that moment, the gigantic snake was staring at Audrey with its bright red and cold eyes. It said in a low voice, "What does Dwayne Dance want?" "This is the angel of the fate pathway that gave Ma'am Hermit a drop of blood." Audrey controlled her thoughts and calmly looked at the gigantic snake. She said in honesty, "He wanted me to ask you where he can obtain the main ingredient of the miracle invoker potion." The gigantic silver snake suddenly fell silent for a few seconds before saying, "The number of sequence 2s in different pathways differ in numbers. Under the situation of the quota of attendant of mysteries being filled, there can only be a total of 6 miracle invokers. A miracle invoker is the name of a sequence 2 potion. Mr. World is going to become an angel, or is he making preparations for his partner? No, if it's a companion, he can get them to ask him themselves." Audrey was first alarmed before she began to look forward to the mysterious serpent's answer.